Well, folks, we finally did it. We finally finished the hill project. It's taken us a year to come up with a good solution. We've looked through Pinterest, we've looked through YouTube, we looked through a whole bunch of different things that we could do. We included options like retaining walls or leveling out the hill or potentially even getting rid of the majority of the hill. And we finally came up with a solution. It was really cost effective, and I think it looks really good. One of the things that we ended up doing, and we'll talk a little bit about it later, is that we brought in about 7 yards of mulch. And along with that, we brought in a bunch of plants. The one thing I want you guys to keep in mind is that while it is finished for now, one of the things that we're going to have to do is continue to maintain it over the next year and actually several years, because this is going to be a seasonal project for us. One of the things that we could have done here is that we could have brought in some really mature plants and really filled up the space, because it is a large area. But in order for us to do that, it would have cost us a lot of money to bring in big plants. And one of the things that we kept thinking about was the fact that Nashville is a very different climate. We are in a transition zone, which means that we get really cold winters, but we also get really hot summers. In fact, right now it's April, and this morning it was 41 degrees, and by Friday we're supposed to be in the 80s. So you just don't really know what you're going to get. And to be honest with you, I don't know enough about these plants to really know how hardy they're going to be, how they're going to handle the heat, how they're going to handle the cold. I did make a concerted effort to try and fill in with plants that were both annuals and perennials. The hostas are all transplants from around the different flower beds on our property, and I know that they're very hardy and they do come back every year, but some of the other plants, especially the flowering plants, are going to be annuals, and we're going to have to replace those from season to season and from year to year. But I think that this is a really good start, and it also gives us a picture of what is possible. So the choices that we made for back here, I'll be honest with you, I know a few of the plants. A lot of the plants that we chose because we just really like them. We have a few snapdragons back here. We have a few African daisies. We have obviously the hostas that we really like. And then we have a few other assorted shrubs and plants, including pansies and some other flowers that are out there, just to give it a little bit of color. But we obviously have other things that we're going to be adding to this garden, but we also wanted to look at plants that gave us a height difference as well. We want to make sure that there was a lot of texture, and we also wanted to be able to show a lot of depth between the taller plants and some of the shorter ones, especially when it came to the flowers, because a lot of those flowers are going to go away when things get really hot or when they start getting cold in the fall. So we want to make sure that the things that were green, some of the evergreens that are over back behind the shed, that they would be small now, but give them time to grow and establish their roots into the hill. So those things are going to be a big ongoing part of the garden as the garden develops over the years to come and over the seasons to come. We also took the opportunity to dress up the patio. So as you can see, we put in a bunch of lights up here, we put in some flowers behind me, and we tried to just spruce things up a little bit all the way around this whole backyard. The grass is coming in really nicely, and we're really happy with how it's filling in. Obviously, it's an experiment. We don't know how the perennial ryegrass is going to do during the summer, but while we have the opportunity to really enjoy the grass the way it is, we want to make sure that our garden looks just as well. Now, one of the biggest challenges was right behind me over here where my truck is, and that's that part of the hill. That hill is extremely steep. If you guys saw the video where I was actually taking out some of the stumps and some of the old shrubs from that hill, you'll recall that it was really hard for me to get up and down. In fact, a couple times that I didn't capture, I captured on camera, I just didn't share it with you all. I actually did quite a bit of sliding up and down, actually not up, but sliding down that hill every time I stepped on something that was loose, especially once we got all the mulch in. But it is a very, very steep hill, and we had to really come up with ways of making sure that things were going to stay where they were. Turns out that the mulch actually holds up really well. We have had several big storms over the last couple weeks. We started this project about a month ago. We've done a little bit each weekend, and throughout that time we've been putting down more and more mulch, and it has held together. Even on the biggest rainstorms that we've had, tornado warnings, lots of wind, everything seems to be staying for the most part in place. The other thing that we want to do is make sure that we had a really good definition between what the hill looks like over here and what the grass looks like over here. And what we did was I made sure that I did a nice deep cut on the grass. We had to remove quite a bit of grass in order to make all of this work. And that was really a great opportunity for me to see the root structure of the grass and how it's developing. And I'll be honest with you, I'm really impressed. The roots are going deep. They're actually growing really well. And to be honest with you, I am pleased beyond expectation as to how well the grass is growing. It was a lot of work to get rid of all the grass and to define these flower beds, but I'm really happy that it's growing the way that it is. Now, one of the things that I had mentioned before was the fact that we did this project over the course of several weeks, and you can see the difference between some of these decorative grasses that are behind me and some of the ones that were down on the other side of the hill. And the nice thing about it is that we could see how are these plants going to develop over the course of time, and it looks like we picked the right type of decorative grasses for this hill. The other thing I want to make sure that you understand is that we are by no means done. I think I mentioned that before. This is just the beginning of this garden project. There are a lot of plants that still need to come in, and they will continue to grow, and we'll see how they develop, but we are not finished. One of the things that I do want to do is do some decorative rocks inside of the garden, and then I also want to bring in maybe some Japanese maples and a few other shrubs. But we will do this over the course of this summer, but we will definitely be doing a lot more planting in the fall because the seasons will change and things will develop in a different way. So we've still got a lot of work to do, and I know I've said that multiple times, but this is going to be one of those opportunities where I get to move things beyond not just the grass in the yard, but also the flower beds and making sure that things are pretty well developed. So we're really excited about that. But we also have one thing that I have mentioned before, and that's the fact that we are painting our house, and that's going to happen over the next couple weeks. And so things will be looking very different around here. And we wanted to make sure that we had these types of things in place so that when the house gets painted, it really pops and it looks really good. So one of the things that my daughters have been asking for is a stand for them to be able to put up their Enos. They want to be able to put up their hammocks in the backyard. And of course, I've told them that they cannot do it in the middle of my yard. So one of the things that I've done is built these steps to give them the ability to go up through the flower beds over to that back corner where I'm going to be putting these stands up for them eventually. I'm not doing that today or tomorrow, but at some point I'll be putting up those stands. And I wanted to give them a way to access it without having to trample through the flower beds or any of the plants that we put out. So that's the reason why we did this. And also I think it looks kind of cool. It actually makes things look a little bit nicer because it does give a little bit of textural change from all the mulch and all the plants. So I don't know what you guys think about this, but feel free to comment down below and tell me what you think. So that's pretty much it, folks. I really do appreciate the fact that you guys have hung out and have seen the progress of not just the lawn, but of this hill. I think this hill is probably one of the biggest transformations of this backyard. I thought it was the grass because we went through such a large project of actually renovating this grass. When I tell people that we had this thing down to dirt in the fall and that the grass looks like it does today, they're really surprised. They're also going to be really surprised if the perennial ryegrass doesn't survive the summer, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But at least the garden and the flower beds are going to be looking really well, and then we can figure out what we're going to do throughout the summer to maintain this grass, and then what we're going to do in the fall depending on how things turn out throughout the summer. But I do appreciate you guys hanging out. I do appreciate you guys waiting for all of this. I would appreciate any comments that you guys have in the comments down below of what you think of this so far. Any suggestions of plants that we can choose. We've already had several people comment in other videos to tell us what they thought would be good plants. A lot of people talked about hostas, and fortunately we had a lot of hostas, like I said, throughout the property that we were able to transplant, and they have done very, very well on the hill. But would love more suggestions from anybody that has any. So I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the process. If you like the video, please give us a like. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would really appreciate the subscription. If I've earned your subscription, we are quickly approaching 2,000. Maybe by the time this video comes out, we'll have 2,000 subscribers. But it's been quite the journey, and I've really enjoyed it, and we'll just continue driving on. And if you want to be notified of future videos, don't forget to hit that bell, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great week, everybody.